What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Warthrone video. Today we're taking a look at the Tier 5 British premium tank, the Sho't Kal Dalet. I believe it's pronounced, but I could be mistaken. I looked it up online and I found like 5 different pronunciations, so if you happen to know the exact pronunciation, let me know in the comment section below. And I'll try to work that into a future video, because I do intend to cover this vehicle again, because it's a really good grinder for Great Britain. Now, right up front, I want to let you guys know that this tank was provided to me for free by Gaijin as part of the content partnership that we have. Whether or not other YouTubers receive this for free or whether they disclose it is entirely up to them, but I just wanted to let you guys know right up front. Before you buy anything, I always recommend getting opinions from multiple sources. So after you watch my video, I encourage you to watch other YouTubers and other members of the community and get their opinion on the tank, what they like and dislike about it. Right up front, the thing that I was most intrigued by was whether or not this is going to be a very mobile tank. One of the things that I remember Gaijin talking about in the dev blog when they were trying to promote this vehicle was the mobility factor, and that is, this has a more powerful engine. And it is a more powerful engine. 750 horsepower, but still trying to move 54 tons. It's a power-to-weight ratio of 13.9 horsepower per ton, which, for British standards, is not bad. It's actually pretty good when you consider the Centurion Mark 10 is a 12.5, the Carnarvon is 13.2, but all of this, of course, pales in comparison with something like the Leopard. Even the T-62 from the Soviets has a better horsepower to weight ratio at 15.6. So you have to take everything into account and remember that as far as mobility wise, this is not going to outpace those kinds of vehicles. This is a very traditional, relatively slow British tank. You're not going to be able to keep up with some of those more mobile tanks that the enemies have. What about the armor? The armor is kind of mediocre. The turret does not have as much armor as the Centurion Mark 10, at least the mantlet portion of it. It does have Blazer Explosive Reactive Armor, or ERA. Now, the ERA does not cover, obviously, every single pixel on the front of the tank. So, in that first shot, or actually, maybe it was the third shot from that Leopard, he was able to get a shot past the ERA, or around the ERA, and do some damage to my crew, as you can see there. As it turns out, there's a second tank back there. We're going to take him out as soon as we get some more smoke. What I have found is that the ERA does protect you against a lot of the heat FS shells at this tier. One thing I haven't encountered is a Leopard A1A1 L44, because that has some serious pen with that heat FS. In a minute, you're going to see an engagement against a T-55 AM, in which I take quite literally an ATGM to the face, and I survive it. So the ERA does work. The armor protection analysis shows that the Blazer ERA protects you against 260 millimeters of chemical energy, which is pretty darn good when you consider what you're going to be facing at this BR. Right here is the T-55 shot right to the face. I take him out in a single shot, and all I lose is a machine gun. I think that's a pretty favorable trade. One other thing I wanted to mention early on in this video is that the gun sounds do in fact change in this video. There was a micro patch after 1.85 hit, and they changed the sound of the gun. They're still changing the sounds of everything. So the sound you hear here will be different than what you will hear later on in the video, because this is after the most recent patch, so the sounds will change. And we're just again showing off the ERA armor doing its job. This is up against an M60 A1. This is the Italian version. He does in fact hit me, but the ERA doesn't allow it to punch through. and this isn't the only engagement on this battle. That's another Heat FS shell from the middle of the map. Again, virtually no damage to my crew, at least. It did destroy some of the ERA protective armor, but as you can see there, I was able to exchange shots and do considerably more damage to him than he did to me. And now here's our first battle. Actually, this is going to be the only full battle that I talk about in this video, because I don't want this to go on for an hour. So we've talked about the mobility, we've talked about the armor, now let's talk about the gun. It's a 105mm L7 gun, and it fires APFS DS shells. You also have Heat FS as a capability, and HESH. And then there's smoke. I do recommend taking smoke shells, even though you've not seen me use them. I have not needed them on most maps, but there was one map recently where I was on Poland, where it would have been really nice to have smoke shells to be fired out of my gun. I ordinarily don't take them because I usually think of, well, I got smoke grenades, so I take smoke shells. And sometimes you need some distance from yourself and your smoke so that you can push out. And if you want to navigate around the lake on Poland, you're going to need some distance to create a proper wall of smoke to conceal yourself from people from shooting you from one of the sniper hills. So that's something to think about. Probably take 4 or 5 shells worth of smoke, and I think that'll be sufficient. As you can see, the mobility on this it's not exactly a fast tank, is it? I mean, we're only at just under 30 kilometers an hour. This isn't much better than what a Centurion Mark 10 would be at. You have to remember, this is not based on the Centurion Mark 10, it's actually based on the Centurion Mark 5, which we do not have in the game. So this is based on a tank that we're not familiar with, at least within the respect of War Thunder itself. So it is a bit slow. I'm going to head around the backside to the left, because I've had some engagements back here in a previous match against the Leopard that worked out rather well. Just briefly to get back to the topic of the gun, I'm going to put the armor penetration values and bullet characteristics of those shells on the screen here so that you can get a feel for what they are. Now, as far as the reload goes, you're looking at a very competitive reload. With an expert trained crew, you're looking at a 7.1 second reload, which is pretty darn good. It is very expensive, however, to put an expert training on your crew. It's 1.625 million silver lions, if I recall correctly. That is a lot of money for expert crew. The ace crew, that's going to take a while. In order to get your free ace crew, you're going to have to earn almost 1.7 million RP with this vehicle to get your free ace crew. Now, the benefit is, of course, you get to have a bonus to all the crew skills, and your reload drops down from 7.1 to 6.7 seconds. It's a pretty nice speed improvement. However, it certainly wouldn't be worth spending the almost 3,000 gold on it. I would just be patient and grind it. Now, back here is where I encountered a Leopard in a previous match. So I'm half expecting somebody back here. But no. I've been coming to the Charlie Point quite a bit lately, the last couple of weeks, because this tank, while it does have ERA, it doesn't have great hull armor. And so you want to take whatever advantage you can of the terrain. Here we go. We got a T-54 kind of slinking off to the right, away from the cap. Ping him on the map so that hopefully my sniper friend on the hill behind me can get him. But either way, I'm going to go after him. We don't want him killing anyone coming in from the respawn. I'm just able to get my gun around on time, put a shot into him. A stabilizer on this is really nice. That's one of the things I like about British tanks at tier 4 and 5, is the stabilizers. It's such a nice feature to have. You go from a stabilized gun to a non-stabilized gun, and it's just a whole nother world. It was an interesting idea that T-54 had. I don't know if he was trying to hide from me, or if he was actually going to try to get up on that ledge. Because you have to think about a T-54's strengths and weaknesses. One of its weaknesses is its gun depression. If you're on a T-54, do you want to be up on that ridge line, or on that little cliff, and not be able to shoot down at your enemies? I don't know if that was the best idea, but he had to try something to get away, right? Got another tank over here. I tried to get some shots up into his gunner. The first shot only gets his driver. Second shot only gets his fuel tank. Third shot, I know I'm going to disable his gun itself. So I aim for the gun barrel, banana peel it, and then we push forward safely. And he's unable to really do anything. He doesn't have the reverse. So we got that out of the way. Anybody down there? Don't see anything. Artillery's coming down on top of us. People do have a tendency to get up here and kind of wait things out and set up an ambush, and that's gotten me killed more than once, I'm afraid. Always got to check the ridge lines in the background too, because you get people like to get up there and snipe. Even some of the tanks that have poor gun depression, they like to get up there, because even though they won't be able to shoot down directly below them, they can shoot kind of far out, and there are some alleys where you can get a shot on people. Now this is kind of a dirty kill because he's coming in from their spawn, but we're not exactly in their spawn, so I think he's a free kill. I think it's perfectly fair. What surprised me is he wasn't even looking up here. If I'm coming in from that direction, I'm always looking up here, because I know there are people who can very easily engage me from this position, as well as from the ridge lines. Like this map is very difficult to navigate safely, because the sheer number of possible locations where enemies can hide. Here we go, we got another tank coming in. Just picking him on the map just in case something should go wrong and I get killed, because you never know. It's an Object 120. He's looking... I'm not sure if he's looking that way or if that's just where his gun happens to be, because he's actually panning to the left. Either way, he's an easy kill. Take out his gun and breach. Next shell goes into the transmission to hull break him. Another easy kill. That's our ace game. And this is... I wouldn't say this is a typical match. Most of my matches are 1 to 2 kills. And again, another tank coming in. And this is where things kind of get embarrassing. You're going to see some really bad shots. But we're going to take down this T-54. And I'm going to leave it unedited. I'm not going to edit out any of the terrible shots. Now, credit to him for actually looking up in this direction. My reload isn't quite able to get it. Wasn't quite able to get there in time, so he's able to get in close to the rocks, smoke up, and I stumble down here and just proceed to just fail miserably. But his breach is out, so there's not a huge concern. Actually, the biggest concern I had was from another tank coming in. After all, it doesn't take that long to get from the enemy spawn to this cap area. Alright, gun's out, Jim. You can stop shooting the gun. And whiff. Oh my lord. Just move your gun out of the way, dude. Let me kill your crew. Thank you. Oh my lord. That was kill number 6. That would be the final tank that I would see in this battle. But like I said, I wouldn't say this is a typical battle because it's normally 1 to 2 kills, whether we lose or win. I don't tend to see a whole lot of action with this thing. One of the reasons is the rather mediocre mobility of this vehicle. I did see a little potato truck drive by, so I ping him on the map for my allies so that they can engage him before he comes around and tries to get Charlie. I pop smoke to my right just to help conceal myself. I really like the smoke system that this vehicle uses. It has 2 smoke grenade systems. The first has 20 smoke grenades. The second system has 10 smoke grenades. When you use your smoke for the first time, you lose 10 of the first system and 1 of the second system. When you use it a second time, you lose the second 10 from the first system and 1 more from the second system. That leaves you with 8 smoke grenades. And that second system, as you use your smoke, it pops out individual smoke grenades. Kind of like the King Tiger does, or did. I don't remember off the top of my head if it still does. But it's 1 smoke grenade at a time, which I like. Now, the last thing I like about this vehicle is its battle rating. At 8.3, it's perfect. I don't think it should be up to 8.7. It's just too darn slow for that. But at 8.3, you have the capability to create an enormous lineup. Just let me read these off. At 8.3, you got this vehicle. You got the Chieftain Mark III. You got the Swingfire, the Striker, all at 8.3. Then at 8.0, you got the Warrior. You've got the Chieftain Marksman. You've got the Falcon at 7.7. And then you've got multiple Meteors at 8.0 for air support. Of course, the Meteors you have the regular Tech 3 versions, or you can have the premium Reaper version of the Mark 8, which includes multiple bomb as well as rocket options. So you have the ability to create as big of a lineup as you can imagine, as big of a lineup as you can afford, because there is a point where it becomes really expensive to make, say, an 8, 9, 10 crew slots. And the economy actually brings me to one thing I would like to see changed, and that's not just for this vehicle, but all Tier 5 premium tanks. And I would like to see the Silver Lion booster increased, because while this game I may have done okay with 54,000 Silver Lions, the truth is it's really expensive to play tanks at top tier, at Tier 5 and Tier 6. It cost me 1.6 million Silver Lions just to put an expert crew on this thing. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, click that thumbs up button, and of course, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Take care, guys.